Postman Pat Storybook Collection, read aloud for kids. If you enjoy my videos, please consider subscribing, and why not share my videos with friends or family members. Postman Pat and the Treasure Hunt. Pat is the Greendale postman. Every day he drives his red van up the valley, twisting along the twiny roads, up and over the hills, far away, down narrow lanes and tracks, to farms and cottages. He brings letters and cards, newspapers and magazines, football pools and catalogues, and bills and birthday cards, and parcels full of who knows what. He also brings a smile and a joke, or a chat, news of the valley and who's doing what. He has a little black cat called Jess. Pat collects the day's post from the village post office. Mrs. Goggins sorts out the letters and parcels, ready for Pat to deliver, as well as looking after the shop. One sunny spring morning, Mrs. Goggins said, "Just look at all these letters and parcels. Most of them seem to be for young Katie and Tom Pottage," said Pat. "Well, of course, it's their birthday," said Mrs. Goggins, smiling. "So it is," said Pat. "How excited they'll be when they see all these cards and parcels. I'd better be on my way. They'd be looking out for me. Goodbye." "Goodbye, Pat." Pat's first stop was at the village school. There was only 12 children there. Bill Thompson was the eldest, and he looked after the letters till Mrs. Pringle arrived. This morning he dropped the letters right into a puddle. Sarah Gilbinson showed Pat a fossil. Then Lucy Selby came to ask Pat to play hopscotch. Soon Pat said, "I'll have to be on my way. The post mustn't be late. Not today of all days." "What's so special about today?" asked Sarah. "You wait and see," said Pat. "Cheerio! I'll see you tomorrow." A little further along the road, Pat turned in at the gates of Greendale Farm. As soon as they heard Pat's van, Katie and Tom Pottage came running out to meet him. When they saw the pile of letters and parcels in Pat's arms, all for them, they couldn't wait to open them. As they were twins, it was double a birthday. They sat down on the grass and opened all their parcels. They had some lovely presents, but Katie did not seem pleased with hers. "What's up, Katie?" said Pat. "She's wrong side out today," said Mrs. Pottage. "She's lost Sarah Ann." "Is that the little doll she takes to school?" "She takes it everywhere," said Mrs. Pottage. "She's lost without her. I don't know what we'll do if she doesn't turn up." "She's sure to turn up somewhere," said Pat. "I'll look out for her. You never know. I might spot Sarah Ann on my travels. I'm good at finding things. Poor Katie. She does look sad. I'll do my best. Don't worry now. Cheerio." Pat was on his way again in his red van. He told Jess all about the lost doll. Where could Sarah Ann be? Jess kept a sharp lookout for any wandering dolls as they travelled from farm to farm. He could catch mice in the dark, so surely he could catch a doll in broad daylight. The next stop was the church. The Reverend Timms heard Pat's van coming and was waiting for him. Pat told him about Katie's lost doll. "She could have left her in church," said the Reverend Timms. "She's always bringing her. Seek and thou shalt find. Let's have a look. Mind your head." They searched among the pews, looking at the seats, lifting hassocks, moving piles of hymn books, creeping about and popping up in unexpected places. Reverend Timms did find something, but it was not Sarah Ann. It was a lady's glove. "Let me see. I think I know that glove," said Pat. "Look, it has letters sewn in it. D.T. Dorothy Thompson. That's whose it must be. I'll take it along for her. She will be pleased." "Well, I hope Katie's doll does turn up," said the Reverend Timms. "Let the Lord guide you, and all will be well." "Thanks for helping," said Pat. "Goodbye." Pat drove up the steep hill to Thompson ground. Mrs. Thompson was surprised when Pat gave her the glove with her letters. "Well, I never," she said. "Where did you find my glove? I've been looking everywhere for it." Pat told her about Katie's doll being lost. "We were looking in the church for it, and the Reverend found your glove instead." Well, Katie and her mum did call for a cup of tea on Monday. She could have left the doll here. Perhaps it's under a cushion. We'd better have a look. They searched everywhere. They lifted cushions. They looked under chairs and behind chairs. They peered underneath the television set and amongst the coats that hung on the back of the door. They moved the sideboard out from the wall to see if Sarah Ann had slipped down the back. It was no good. They didn't find Katie's doll, but Mrs. Thompson found a knife down the side of a chair. "That's Ted Glenn's knife," said Pat. "It's his rabbiting knife. I'll take it along for him," said Pat. "He will be pleased to have it back." "I hope you find Katie's doll," said Mrs. Thompson. "We'll keep looking. See you tomorrow. Cheerio." "Cheerio, Pat." Pat drove down the steep and winding roads and along the valley to Ted Glenn's cottage. Jess kept a sharp lookout for the lost doll. "What a day," said Pat. "We found a glove and a knife, but no Sarah Ann. I wonder if we'll find her. I do hope so." Jess twitched his whiskers hopefully. Ted Glenn was delighted to see his knife. He couldn't guess where Pat had found it. Pat told him about Katie's lost doll. Ted said, "They popped in yesterday with a lamp they wanted mending. She could have left the doll here." So they went to have a look in Ted's workshop. What a jumble it was! There were toys and television sets, cookers and cake stands, bikes and roller skates, farm machines and house machines. More than you could count. Goodness knows when Ted would mend them all. They lifted things. They fell over things. They fell on things. They moved things. They pushed things. And they looked over things. They looked around things. Under things. Behind things. Between things. Beside things. They did not find Sarah Ann, but Ted found a watch that he'd mended and forgotten about. "That's Miss Hubbard's," he said. "She bought it to be fettled last Christmas. Could you take it along for her, Pat? She'll be needing it." "Certainly. I'm going that way." "I hope you find that doll," said Ted. "So do I," said Pat. "I seem to be able to find plenty of other things." Miss Hubbard was doing her shopping in Sam's mobile shop when Pat arrived. She was pleased to see Pat, and even more pleased when he gave her the watch with her letters. She couldn't guess where Pat had found it. Pat told her about Katie's lost doll, but she hadn't seen her. "Poor Katie," said Pat, "and on her birthday too. I'll buy her a box of chocolates to cheer her up, as we haven't found Sarah Ann." Pat took a box of chocolates from the shelf of the mobile shop. There was something else on the shelf, a squished up something that had been behind the box of chocolates. "What's that?" said Pat. "Behind your chocolates?" "I don't know," said Sam. "It's nothing I put there." Pat pulled the bundle out and straightened it and smoothed it. "I know what it is," he said. "It's a doll," said Miss Hubbard. "I don't sell dolls," said Sam. "It isn't a new one," said Miss Hubbard. "It's Katie's doll," said Pat. "There's her name sewn on the skirt. It must be Sarah Ann, the one we've been looking for all day." "That young Katie Pottage," said Sam. "She gets everywhere." "I'll take the chocolates anyway," said Pat. "They'll be a nice birthday present." When Pat arrived at the twins' birthday party with Sarah Ann and the chocolates, Katie smiled properly for the first time that day. She hugged Sarah Ann and Pat and Jess and said thank you to them all. It was a lovely party. "Time we were going," said Pat. "Goodbye, everyone. Have a good time." "Goodbye, Pat." "Goodbye," everyone called, and off went Pat and Jess in their red van. Pat still had to collect the letters from the letterbox and tell Mrs. Goggins all about the treasure hunt for Katie's lost doll. The end. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you again here at the ABC Storytime.